I have gone back. I've shot my review 3 times. I shot my review 3 times, and after this last time, it just felt off. And I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do it live. I got my notes right here. Got my notes right here. All my notes. A couple pages of notes, but I pretty much know what I'm gonna say. I pretty much know my feelings on this game, this story. That's another thing. Like, when I stop calling your game a game, I start referring to it as a story, you've got me. Because my top criteria, for those that know, it's story, characters, art, music, gameplay. That's my 5 criteria for judging a game, or my own personal judging. Who cares about what I think, really, right? I'm just a guy. So why not just do it all live? Why not just do it all live? Do the theory videos live, and then I can edit it down and make it a VOD the next day. Same thing with reviews. So with all of you, and I can get your instant feedback, and we can talk about it after I get through the things I need to get through. And there's a lot to get through with this review. So those of you that missed the long Ray Coffman talks about Final Fantasy VII will get your favorite beverage and pull up a seat, because we're going back in time. We're going back in time. So, and I do better off the cuff anyway. Where do I start? I mean, I'm not going to start with the different criteria off. I want to start with how I feel about this game and this story as just a complete just whole, right? There's a fine line between remaking a game, revisiting something that was a zeitgeist for a generation when it came out, and then finding a way to recapture that all over again. And if I'm being completely honest, after Remake, I wasn't sure that, and even after seeing the trailers being blown away and reacting to the trailers for Rebirth, there was still that thing in the back of my mind that was like, this could suck. This could suck ass. This could be not good. And I'm gonna have to be honest with people about it. I'm gonna lose a ton of subscribers, but I have to be honest about it because people will know if I'm not being honest about it. I can't be that. I am happy to say that's not the case. This game is amazing. It took me back to what I loved about Final Fantasy VII. This game in particular, more so than Remake, because I had a lot of gameplay issues with Remake as far as like how they structured things, how like the empty corridors, all the padding. There were a lot of like really loud and blaring issues with Remake, especially now when I go back and replay it in my spare time some. That being said, this is a different game. Like, Rebirth is exactly what we all wanted when they said we're remaking Final Fantasy VII. And to be completely honest, if it weren't for moments in Remake that were so good, the Airbuster battle, the bike chase, the things with Roche, the stuff in Shinra Tower, Rufus's introduction, the different hallucinations with Sephiroth, you know, I could go on. Tifa stuff, the Barrett stuff. I mean, the Barrett stuff alone, and the things they added to Remake make it worth playing. But you could not play Remake and jump into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and really be just fine. This is the game we all wanted when they said in 2015 at E3, we're remaking Final Fantasy VII. Psh, remake. When they put that up on the screen, this is what we wanted. The game really hit me hardest in so many places, but like right, for those of you that watched me play it live, and I apologize for the huge hiatus I took. That, you know, people have been I won't get into all that kind of stuff. But like the huge hiatus I took, I hated it because I was chasing my dream, doing my thing, every day I thought, I just want to get back to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I can't do it right now. So when I finally got back around to doing it, I was even more blown away. So when I started playing it initially when this game came out, and you're going through the early part, Mount Nibel, you're going through the flashback, Nibelheim flashback, all that kind of stuff. I'm not one of these guys who will tear up for a reaction, and a lot of people do it genuinely, but a lot of people, they don't. You know, if I get emotional playing a game for whatever reason, you know it's legit. I got choked up. The whole walk up to Mount Nibel, I was like, I still get a little, like, when I put myself back in that headspace, I still get a little choked up about it. They nailed it. They nailed it. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they did more. Like, if you told me that, and I'm saying this as a positive, as a glowing compliment. If you told me Square Enix made this game, and I didn't know better, I'd say, nah, man, they outsourced it to somebody. Full stop. Full stop. This is the greatest game, technically, and since Square Enix has made, since, I mean, you could say Final Fantasy X, just as far as like just an overall great game. And I know we got Nier fans out there. That's totally legit. All whatever you're a fan of Square Enix is totally legit. This is the best game they've made in 25 years. This is the best game they've made in 25 years. And for me, it's not even close. Now, is that saying it's a 10 out of 10? No. I'm not. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. So we're going to go through it. So many things they did in this game that were just absolutely incredible. The story, the characters, the music. Dude, the music. This is one of the greatest soundtracks. Like, when it's all said and done, the whole remake saga is going to go down as the greatest OST of all time. It will be the greatest OST of all time. It already is for me. I mean, it's super. It's almost scary how good it is, because it's like, where do we go from here? Like, I love the Clair Obscur soundtrack. I love the stuff I'm hearing from the Kazan soundtrack. There's a lot of great OSTs out there. Of course, I'm a big Resident Evil Castlevania guy too. Great OSTs there. None of that stuff touches this soundtrack. It's unbelievable. So, let's start at the top. Top criteria for me: story. Story. I think the story's great. I like what they're doing with it. It's a straight up remake. It's the definition of a remake. A lot of people are talking in circles because they need things to talk about. They need content. Look, this is a straight up remake. This is the definition of a remake. If you're going to remake something, you're going to add elements to it. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. You know, people are like, oh, it's a sequel. No, it's not a sequel. Like, within the confines of this story, Aerith and Sephiroth are aware of things that have happened and things that will happen. Like Eternal Aerith and like, you know, All-Seeing Sephiroth, Omni Sephiroth, whatever you want to call it. You know, within the confines of the story, they're establishing the precedent that exists already. So that, in itself, is a narrative remake. They've remade that aspect. They've added things. They've the stuff in remake they added. They're adding areas. They're adding stuff to do. They're adding stuff to the story, which I don't think is bad. Well, I've said from the start that Final Fantasy VII, the remake saga, is a love letter. It is an homage to the greatest game ever made, Final Fantasy VII. It's not a debate. It's still not a debate to this day. Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game that's ever been made. It's influenced so many people in the industry, that were in the industry, that are still in the industry when that game came out. influenced how people make decisions, influenced how people look at storytelling in games, influenced generations of people to follow their dreams and go make video games and tell stories in video games. Final Fantasy VII changed video games forever when it came out, and it will be the greatest game of all time forever, just because of that. The whole video game industry changed its trajectory after this game came out. And you could argue semantics, what your favorite game is. That's valid. That's valid. You can have a favorite game, and Final Fantasy VII is not even your top 10. That's not what this discussion is. It's the greatest game of all time because of how many people it influenced, how it changed the industry, how it did all these different things, introduced these concepts that people never even played with, and threw it all in a sandbox and made it work. It was a lightning in a bottle. It was the creators of Square at the time, the influences they had. Look at Nobuo Uematsu. He was influenced by, like, you know, stoner rock, Tchaikovsky, 60s rock, classical. I mean, One Winged Angel is influenced by Tchaikovsky and Jimi Hendrix. I mean, so it is a magnum opus. So this game, this whole remake saga, is an homage to that wonderful period, that summer of love that Square Enix experienced, and the people that are still there. You know, they tell stories to the staff what it was like working on this game when they first started working on it. It's legend in the halls of Square Enix Japan. They tell the story like a fable. And these younger developers, like Hamaguchi, who's getting to work on this thing now, he's just like, he's on cloud 9. This game's the reason he's a game maker. And he's getting to do this. So yeah, it's the greatest game of all time. And the story does a great job of paying homage to that. Remake did, Rebirth has, and I'm sure whatever the third game is going to be called, you can throw your name in the hat. Everybody is. Even myself. I've thrown a couple out there. This is a love letter to that. And they really nail it. Early on, when you see the dynamics and the relationships between Aerith, Cloud, Tifa, even with Barrett in Red 13 to a degree, interweaving them with the main characters. So I consider the main characters to be Cloud, Aerith, and Tifa. It's really stunning how they go about the dialogue. How the dialogue and the chatter throughout the game really gives you presence of where the characters in the story are at that time. And this isn't even like main dialogue, cutscene dialogue. This is just the chatter. The chatter in this game is going to change how people do RPGs. Final Fantasy VII is going to change RPGs again. It's going to change gaming again. In this way. The chatter is incredible. It was incredible in Remake. It's incredible in this game. Like the little things you get between the characters, just running around the field, grinding and stuff. You'll hear them say things to each other as the main story is going on. I'm not getting so much of it now that I'm grinding, but as the main story was going on, you really get a lot of it. Yeah, that's a great point, Scotty. Yeah, you don't get games like Expedition 33 and Nier and all these other games without Final Fantasy VII. It just doesn't happen. It's not happening. For one, Square Enix may have had to close their doors without Final Fantasy VII. So there's that. But back to this. And I'm going to try to keep up with your chats and stuff, but I'm going to try to stay focused on my review as we go. So I'm not going to be reading chats too much. If you want to super chat or bold it or something, I don't know, to get my attention, I'll read all that stuff when we're done. But the story is incredible. What they did with exposing Sephiroth early and not making him such a mystery, but finding another way to make Sephiroth a mystery, was masterstroke. People were talking about, oh, he's not mysterious anymore because you see him so early, you see him so much. But all people can talk about is the mystery of Sephiroth going into Rebirth. So they got you without knowing they got you until you realize they got you. And then you're like, oh, they got me. Oh shit, they got me. They did get me. That's masterful storytelling. The mystery with Aerith. What was going on there? What's going on now? You know? It's not a gimmick. It was orchestrated in a way to keep people talking between games, but it's not a gimmick. It's great storytelling. And it's a level of storytelling that I was afraid did not exist at that company anymore. And I'm very happy to be wrong. Like, after I finished Rebirth, I was like, I am full on board with what they're doing. The Zack stuff was a little wonky, but I get it. I get what they were doing. And I'm going to be doing some theory discussions this week, much like this, so I can interact live with you all as we do it, which I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But, you know, I said from the start, the Zack stuff, I'm not super big on. I like Zack, but he was a device. He was a narrative device in the original game. I loved that you didn't know anything about him. I thought that was the coolest part about Zack. It was this mystery, you know. But we know all about Zack now. We know all about Zack now, pretty much. But now there's a new mystery with him. What's going on? And so we'll talk about that in some of the theory videos. And then the characters who don't have so much of a mystery going on, but the way the game ends its story, with everything coming to a head at the Temple of the Ancients. My God. My God. I told, you know, one of the things I kept saying leading up to this game, I was like, man, everybody's like, what area are you looking forward to the most? A lot of people said, you know, Junon, of course, was really cool. A lot of people were saying Costa del Sol just for the comedy there. Gold Saucer was a big winner. A big winner. Nibelheim. My most anticipated area I wanted to see was the Temple of the Ancients in Nibelheim, because I figured Nibelheim would be a little Twilight Zone-ish, and it wound up being that way. They really nailed that. I'm glad they kept that true to the game. The stuff with Temple of the Ancients, though, man, I gotta tell you, it went so far beyond. It went so far beyond anything I anticipated that thing to be. It went so far beyond what I thought it could be or what they would do with it. I was gobsmacked. I was absolutely gobsmacked with like just how good and intricate everything was when you're going through and you're getting all the information, the narrative information, plus the lore information they're dumping on you all throughout the Temple of the Ancients. My God, it was something to behold. I really thought we would kind of not be in and out, but I thought there'd be more to the game after Temple of the Ancients, so I figured it would just be kind of a place. You stop, you're there for an hour or hour and a half, and you move on to the next part. I didn't think the game would like end there, so technically it didn't end there. But that's like the last part where you're like adventuring around and stuff. You know what I mean? Temple of the Ancients raised the bar for what my expectations are going to be for this story. What they did with Cloud's breaking fragile psyche was masterful, especially at the end of the game. And we'll get into that here in a second. But as I have said, my own personal opinion, the greatest moment and the most important moment in the history of games is, I'm getting choked up talking about it because I've got a personal history with this, is Cloud's broken psyche and him putting himself back together in the live stream with Tifa's help, of course, and his redemption, which that's my name I'm throwing into the hat for Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is Redemption. If it's not Redemption, it's Reunion possibly, but I'm saying I hope it's Redemption. I think that would be cool, because all these characters are looking for redemption, you know. And the Temple of the Ancients, what I was kind of trying to segue to is masterfully how they had the characters separate, and you see what's going on with the different characters. They're all going to be seeking redemption for what they saw at the end of Rebirth into Game 3. You saw everything that happened with Barrett losing his family. That was so well done. John Eric Bentley, I keep saying, everybody in this cast is stellar. Everybody in this cast is fantastic. Vic Chow, I think is his name, who does Sung's voice. I might be wrong about that. I know it's Vic. I think it's Vic Chow. He's amazing. That guy's a fucking good actor, man. That guy is really good. Like, his lines he delivers as Sung were really good. They sound stoic and just kind of, but there's a lot of there's a lot going on underneath those lines, and I'm like, wow, it was chilling listening to him talk at points. It is watching all the stuff with the redemption arc stuff. I think was really cool. That wasn't there in the original game. They used the Temple of the Ancients as the set piece for moving forward, and just the way the temple was introduced, you know, like a puzzle unlocking and becoming, because the whole temple is a puzzle, and to see it actually as a puzzle was like, oh my god. A lot of you all that I see in the chat were like watching me while I was playing that. Man, I was absolutely floored. The story's fantastic. But there is an element to the story that's like, are they going to stick the landing? I think they will. I think they will stick the landing, but where the story isn't complete yet, my grade on the story is an 8 out of 10. Not because there's anything necessarily bad. I thought some of the Zack stuff was convoluted, honestly. I know what they were trying to do. I know the message what they're trying to do with the character. And again, I'm going to cover that in some theory stuff later. I'm not going to dive too deep into it now. But I was thankful we didn't play as Zack a ton. Like, you got story beats, you got, you know, kind of what was going on, that, you know, once you're on the other side here, you can see the Matrix once you're in the real world. You know, it's a lot borrowed from the Matrix in this, in Game 1 and Game 2. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night. A lot borrowed from the Matrix. It's almost like they solely borrowed from the Matrix. But anyway, I digress. We'll get into it later, tomorrow. Maybe. Shit. Anyway, so story for me gets an 8 out of 10. It's not done yet. I can't wait to see where they go with it. If I was just looking at the story, well, you know, I can't do that because they haven't finished it. We're at the end of Act 2. We still have a whole third act to go. So the jury's out on the story, but if I've got to give it a grade just for this so far, what they've given us, give it an 8 out of 10. Move on to characters. Man, well, what do you say? What do you even say here? You know, it's so incredible what they have done, not just with the writing of the characters, but the localization of the scripts and finding the right actors. Just in the English market, I don't know how it's been dubbed all over the world, how many different dubs of it there are. I don't know. I know for a fact there's a Japanese version. I know for a fact there's an English version. That's all I know. Is there a German version? Is there a Spanish version? I don't know. But what they've done with the English voice cast is incredible. The script is amazing. I spoke about the chatter earlier. Let's just dive into the characters. Look, Cloud Strife. This whole game, and this borders on story as well. This whole game is setting up his fall. This whole entire game, which tells me Square Enix knows how important. How I'm getting choked up thinking about it. How important that moment when He resurfaces out of the live stream as the hero that he's supposed to be, that he's meant to be. Without the influence of Sephiroth, without the influence of Jenova, without all these voices in his head, a completely confident, weird kid from Nibelheim, who Sephiroth wants no fucking part of. Who Sephiroth wants no fucking part of. Let me say that again. Sephiroth wants no part of the real Cloud. He wants none of that business. That's why he's messing with Cloud. That's why he's trying to throw him off. And when Cloud comes out of the live stream, completely himself, on the bridge of the high wind, apologizing to everybody for how he's been, showing his goofy, kind of podunk small town self, that's the leader we need. That's the dude the almighty Sephiroth is afraid of. The whole game is setting that moment up. Hang on a second. I can't talk with that going on. I can't talk with that going on. I need something better. Okay, that's better. The whole game is setting that up for the third game. It's impressive. It's impressive. Yeah, the whole Let's Mosey, we're getting that. We're getting that. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. But so Cloud, he's amazing in the game. Everything to do with him, like, you don't know if he's being controlled or if he's just having slips or if it's a combination of the things or if he's just at the end of his rope and he's about to break. Or if I think it's a combination of everything, and we're going to find out in Game 3 what direction they're going with him. But I got to tell you, they did a great job with him. Like when he's turning on Tifa, when he's got Sephiroth in his head, when he's lashing out at other party members, even Aerith. That's the sad thing, is before the end, Aerith feels like she's so distant from him. You know, she feels like this isn't the dude I left Midgar with. But it's okay, because I know what's going on. I know he's going to be okay. Like, she had to do that last part on her own, because Cloud couldn't come with her. That's the thing people don't understand about the story. And we're kind of back in story stuff a little bit here. But Aerith went to the Forgotten Capital by herself because she knew Cloud couldn't come right now. She knew it had to happen now, and she knew Cloud couldn't handle it right now. So she left, and we know what happened. That's what's so beautifully tragic about that part of the story, is her understanding of where Cloud was and how the rest of the party was reeling, and she tried to do it on her own, and we know how it ended, you know. It's tragic. It's beautiful. It's just amazing. Tifa, I thought there were many moments in this game where Tifa was center stage, as she should be, you know, because she's going to slip into, you know, co-main character in game number 3, as it should be, because if not for Tifa, Cloud can't be saved. And that's her importance in the story, not to just save somebody, but to be there. She's kind of the mother for the group, you know. She's caring. She's brought to life amazingly well. Amazing. She's great, and the warmth comes through, the nurturing comes through, but the badass "don't mess with my family" comes through. I mean, she does a great job of nailing the character. Barrett. What more can I say about Barrett? John Bentley just absolutely made this character his. This is his character. Everything he says in the game, it kind of lingers with you for a moment. You're listening to it. The stuff with him and Dyne was good. Like, I wasn't super big on how they ended that scene with dying, I really wanted him to fall off the cliff. Like, just kind of tell Marlene I love her. I can't touch her with these bloodstained hands. Tell her I love her. And off the cliff. I really would have loved to have seen that. But I was fine with it. I was fine with it because the performances were so good. Like, that's the thing. Like, I could nitpick on little things, but the performances and the writing are so good overall. Performances are good across the board, not overall. They're amazing. Writing's great overall. But yeah, Barrett is incredible. I said in 2020, he should have won. And he did in a lot of places. Just because the Game Awards doesn't award something, that's not the end all be all. You know, and I always say, whatever your reward is, that's who wins it. John Bentley was the best voice actor in 2020, and it wasn't even close. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, the Last of Us crew, Last of Us 2, that crew, good performances, but, you know, they were good. John Bentley's was great. The full gamut of human emotions. And he does it again in Rebirth. He does it again and amps it up in Rebirth because there's more. Because there's more of it. There's more of him. More situations he's reacting to. Like, at the end, when you're getting the Aerith burial scene, he puts he's holding his glasses. You can tell he's just like choking back his emotions. There's a lot there. There's so much there. There's so much just underneath the surface. It's so good. Red 13. I enjoyed Red 13. All of his stuff, especially him going from Red 13 to Nanaki, back and forth, you know. Seeing him be Grandpa's good boy. And then talking of his father with reverence after he realizes what his father was and wanting to be like Sato, you know. The stuff they did with Red 13 was great. And playing as him is fun, too. That's the other thing I'm not talking about these characters. Their gameplay, their combat. It's fun. We're going to get into that here in a few. Vincent and Sid, I really enjoyed. I knew what I was going to get with Vincent, and that was fun. I loved it. Vincent's my guy. You all know, like, PS1 version of the game. He's my favorite character. He never leaves the party. He's always there. Him and Cloud were the first two to level 99. I mean, every time I play through it, it's like that with Vincent and me. He's my guy. But Sid, I loved what they did with Sid. Loved making him like all goody two shoes and stuff, because if you have a keen ear and a keen eye for narrative stuff, you understand that he's covering something up. Like he's overcompensating for something. He's trying to make up for something. And I've got theories about that. I'll give you a taste of that theory right now. I think he had something to do with Professor Gast and Falna being found by Shinra. I think he had something to do with it. I think he was either the pilot that took them there and he told what happened, or he helped them find them. Because like he knows Aerith, he knows her mother, and when he finds out her mother's dead, he's just like, he changes for a beat. And he bumps back into this character that he's playing. That's not the real Sid, and we know it. We know that's not the real Sid. And we're going to find out. And they need to not hit the brakes on his abusive behavior in the third game, because that's part of his redemption. That's part of his redemption arc. We've already seen Vincent tease like what his redemption would be when he's talking to the Turks, like, stand up, you Turks, get out of here. You know, like there's a side of him that's still that Turk soldier. That's what I like about Vincent. There's so much mystery with the characters. Now, I'm not talking a whole lot about Vincent because I don't feel like there's enough to talk about there. but they did a great job with him, showing that he was once a Turk, and as the player, you know that. His knowledge about certain things, the way he was portrayed, I think was really great. They really nailed the voice actor for that. Matt Mercer, perfect. Vincent, it was perfect. Steve Bloom's Vincent was amazing. And when they said they're recasting everybody for the remake saga, I was like, oh man, how are you going to follow Steve Bloom? You follow him with Matt Mercer. There you go. And I know Steve gave Matt Mercer his blessing too, so that's good stuff. Yeah, those characters are great. Rufus Shinra might be the most well fleshed out character in Rebirth. I hated the boss fights with Rufus. I truly did. I truly hated the boss fights with Rufus. I thought they were gimmicky. I didn't enjoy them. But I will say, he was... Yeah, I love the video of how they... have you seen the video of how they told Matt who he's playing? Like, I watch it sometime when you get a chance. I love that video. That's a very heartwarming video. I'm glad he got that moment, and that they went out of their way to give him that moment. That was great. But Rufus is so good. He's so good. I liken Rufus to the Joker in The Dark Knight, because every scene Rufus is in, you're like, all these other characters, I'm not talking performances, I'm talking characters. All these characters are great. You love everything that's going on in the story, but when Rufus comes into the shot, you're like, oh, finally Rufus is back. Oh, finally Rufus is back in the story. Okay, good. Rufus is back. That's how I felt about the Joker watching The Dark Knight in the theater the first time. It's like, this whole movie is so good. All these characters are... Oh, God, the Joker's back. Thank God. I missed you. Where you been? That's how I feel about Rufus when he comes onto the screen in the game. He's so charismatic. He's so confident. He's so poised. And in the few moments where he's not, you feel like he's not in control, and there's a couple in the game, and he breaks character for just a stride, for just a step, and then he's back in character. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. I love what they did with him. The Turks, Reno being strangely absent, I heard it was, or I know part of it's because the voice actor passed away. But I really missed having, Reno in there. But the other Turks are great. Elena was great. I loved Elena. I thought she was fantastic. Hojo, they're doing what they should be doing with Hojo. He's supposed to be an unlikable piece of trash that you want to see Vincent wipe out at the end of this game. Mission accomplished. Because he's great as a character. I think he's a charismatic, like, nasty, maniacal, evil villain. And I think they're doing a great job in that regard with him. So it's doing its job. It's doing its job, and I love all the side characters and the stuff they're putting into, like, everybody else, the side, the side mission characters, like the wall market characters that you come across again in the Rebirth game. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, I was trying to find a different track. I was having a hard time focusing. So I obviously saved Aerith for last. I think, and I don't even want to say this is an underrated performance, but of all the other performances people talk about, and I'm going to talk about Sephiroth with Aerith. I'm about to talk about Aerith though, but you can't talk about Aerith without Sephiroth. And Sephiroth without Aerith, I think, because I feel like the real battle in this game to this point has been Aerith and Sephiroth. That's been the real conflict so far. Cloud is directly tied to Sephiroth, but I feel like Sephiroth is focused on Aerith. Like, he's goading Cloud to knock Aerith out of the picture. So, I don't want to say this is an underrated performance, but Brianna White's performance as Aerith has been sublime. It has been fantastic. And I got a chance to meet Brianna. She was super sweet. And I talked to her for a good bit about her role and everything. It was funny. She thought I was somebody else. She was like, well, don't I know you from somewhere? And I was like, no. I was like, I got a Final Fantasy YouTube channel. And she's like, no, I don't think that's it. So then we started talking about this and her performance and everything. Got to know her, and she genuinely loves playing this character. You can tell she genuinely loves playing this character, and you hear it in the performance. I'll tell you that story because I hear it in her performance. Every line is calculated. How she says something, the way she delivers the line. And all the characters do this, but Aerith is such... She's so weird and so just lovable, but so caring and so scared and so insecure and all these other things. And she gets it. Brianna understands it. And I thought her performance in the remake was really good. Her performance in Rebirth is fantastic. It might get performance of the year. It might get best performance of the year, because the moments where she's talking to Cloud and she's trying to get him to understand her, and he's already starting to just go. Like he's drifting out in left field. And she's just like, huh, yeah, okay. Like it's real dialogue. It's real dialogue, and she nails it. Yeah, Rick, it's very genuine. It's very genuine. So Sephiroth, Tyler Hoechlin, is great. He's a great Sephiroth. I thought he was good. I thought he was okay in remake. I'm not gonna lie. I miss George Newbern's Sephiroth in remake. I'm not gonna lie. So I think between remake and Rebirth, somehow I think this performance grew on me. Not saying it's bad, but George Newbern's Sephiroth is diabolical. Like, he's just diabolical. But I see what Tyler Hoechlin's doing with his performance as Sephiroth in the remake saga, and it's more of like a game of chess. Like, it's almost like watching two chess players and one guy, like, calculating all of his moves. That's how he plays Sephiroth, at least in my opinion. Like, everything's calculated. He's still cold, but he's cold in like a he's gaslighting, you know. And it's a really interesting take on the character. And at first I didn't know if I was into it, but now I'm totally into it. Especially since they're showing you that, hey, it's still Final Fantasy VII. Sephiroth's still trying to get the meteor here. He's still doing all this other stuff. He's still trying to get the black materia. It's still Final Fantasy VII. Even though it's going to end differently, in a different place, I think. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow night. So Sephiroth, great. So all in all, characters, 10 out of 10. Characters are a 10 out of 10 in this game. It's I can't say enough good things about what they did with the characterizations, their animations, seeing the characters come to life now on current gen hardware with emotions and movements and body language and all this other kind of stuff. Let's give a hand to the mocap actors, because the mocap actors have brought these characters to life just as much as the voice actors. The mocap actors don't get enough credit for what they've done in this game. The body language, the facial expressions, everything about the characters. I've got no notes. 10 out of 10. The art, the art direction, everything about the art in this game and what they're doing with... hang on. I'm changing tracks again. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. Airbuster time. The art direction of this game is phenomenal. Like when you walk out of Nibelheim, not Nibelheim, when you walk out of Calm into the greater world, fuck, man. You know, I know every gamer that played this game, as soon as they saw that, they were like, what, you know? But going into the different areas, seeing how they presented Mount Nibel right from the start, and the emotions that it drew out of countless players playing this game, just seeing how they brought Gaia to life I was awestruck. The art design of the bosses was incredible. Even just the little rando characters that you fight here and there, the way they brought them to life. Grinding is a joy in this game. To just see all the way the monsters look and their kind of goofy animations at places. Like, I'm throwing that into the art for this game, like how the characters are animated, how they move and stuff, because that's part of the art of the game. Design choices, fantastic. You could just give me the Temple of the Ancients and the Forgotten Capital, and I'm giving you a 10 out of 10 for the art. So the artwork is a 10 out of 10. It's an easy 10 out of 10. They went ham, balls to the walls with the artwork in this game. Absolutely crushed it. Absolutely crushed it. So 10 out of 10 for the artwork. The music, spoiler alert, 10 out of 10. One part of the greatest soundtrack ever made for a video game. You know, you can have your favorite. And I guess this is me saying this is my favorite. But just top to bottom, universally, how this soundtrack has been embraced, and how I've let friends of mine who don't know Final Fantasy, who don't know Final Fantasy VII, I've sent them some tracks. I've sent them Airbuster. I've sent them some tracks from Rebirth. And they're like, what is this from? You know, so Nobuo Uematsu and everybody else who's composing and a part of the staff putting this music together for the game is absolutely incredible. Like, they're in the music, you really hear the part where this is an homage from Square Enix. Like, this is an homage to the greatest game ever made. All the different Genova tracks, all the different Sephiroth tracks, what they've done with those chosen by the planet in certain parts of Rebirth is just stand up and clap. It's just stand up and clap. And that's all you can, that's the only reaction I had left at a certain point in this game. Like, to just clap. To just like, wow, my emotions are drained. It's banger after, I was getting ready to say it, Scotty. It's banger after banger. Banger after banger. It's like a greatest hits compilation. It's like video games, the soundtrack. It's absolutely insane. So, yeah, some of the standout tracks from this, I'm just going to go into a couple. I don't know the names of them because I don't have the soundtrack. I just listened to it in the game. Well, I've heard a little bit of it on Apple Music, but I don't own it. But anytime you're fighting Genova, they bring it. But the one, I teared up on stream. Oh my god, I'm getting teary-eyed hearing it in my head right now. The Aerith theme Genova mashup. If that didn't move you, you may not have a heart. You may not have a heart. That was so moving. Like, I can't even describe it, how it made me feel. That will go down as a timeless piece of music. Aerith's theme, people who don't even play video games, they hear One Winged Angel, they hear Aerith, they know what that is. They know what it is. You know, it's Howard Shore levels of music composition. You took that Genova theme and you mixed it with Aerith's theme in that moment. Now, I know when you're fighting Genova in that scene in OG, it's just playing Aerith's theme. But the way they segued it and wove them in together, oh my god. Oh my god. And again, I keep going back to this area, but the Temple of the Ancients. Temple of the Ancients. What they did with that theme, Forested Temple is the name of that theme in the OG soundtrack. Wow. Wow. I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this soundtrack. So yeah, spoiler alert, 10 out of 10 on the soundtrack. 10 out of 10. Gameplay. Gameplay was good. The gameplay was really good. The combat system is amazing. For what it is, like the action turn-based ATB kind of hybrid, for my money, it's the best out there. It's definitely the best battle system that Square Enix has ever made. So the battle system was great. I loved all the little fixes they made from the previous game. Exploration was really fun. I really enjoyed exploration. I saw a lot of people complain that it was a little repetitive, but I don't care about that. Like, I'm the type of guy that just likes to clear an area. Let me clear an area, let me get all the stuff there, move on to the next. I'm like a locust, right? It's like, let me clear an area and move on to the next one. And give me just tons of shit to do. That's all I ask. I'm a classic RPG fan. Just give me a bunch of stuff to do, and I'm a happy man. Let me grind. Give me a bunch of stuff to do. Give me a great story. You've got me. And I feel like they did that with the gameplay. They gave you a lot to explore. The regions and the areas, I'm going to throw the world map into the whole gameplay aspect of it, because I feel like it reaches more into that, because it has to do with exploration and all that kind of thing. The world map is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Like, what... Just looking at that world map and looking at the cloudy regions and knowing where we still haven't gone yet gets me excited. Made me more excited to get through all... That's what I'm currently doing in the game, is going through and getting all the Rimwave towers and clearing all the stuff. I'm not going to platinum. I'm not a platinum. I'm not a trophy hunter, but I'll get a lot of them because I love completing, just getting the stuff and opening up the stuff. I don't have to go beat the boss that's going to make me beat my head against the wall for 10 hours. I'm not that guy. But I will go find all the treasure chests. I will go open all the towers. I will do all the little special hunts in the area. I probably just won't do all the special battles in the simulator. But there were still some janky exploration areas though. Like Gungaga was pretty rough. There was another area that was kind of... It wasn't... I think it was an area... I think when you get outside of Cosmo Canyon, maybe. There's an area in that part of the game. I'd have to go back and revisit it. But there was an area there where exploration was a little janky. I think they were rushing to try and... Oh, it was between Costa del Sol and your next objective. I thought exploration there was a little bit janky. When you're going into the factories and trying to find stuff, it was okay. But I thought that could have been a little bit better. But the combat stuff, we absolutely need the materia loadouts. Yes. That was the other thing I was going to say, is like when you jump back in, like if you do what I did and jump back in after months of being away from it, I had to unload all my materia and kind of figure that out again. It would have been nice if I had like, you know, loadouts saved and bring them in and bring them out. Quality, there's some QOL stuff that would be really nice for them to address with the gameplay. But again, I'm not. Yeah, Gungaga was my least favorite as well. So gameplay, I'm giving an 8 out of 10. I think the combat and the exploration and just the really fun parts of the game. I love being on the ocean, but give me some more places to stop, like islands and stuff on the ocean. We know there's a big island coming, right? Knights of the Round is coming. So we know there's going to be some island places to explore, but give me some more. Like, give me some little out-of-the-way islands. Give me some crazy monsters on an abandoned island that just drop insane loot. Like, give me more things like that, you know? So yeah, but gameplay is fine. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Overall, the game is... It's really... It's next level. What Square Enix did, they took their game to the next level. Pun completely intended. Completely effing intended. They took their game to the next level with this. Now, do I think Square Enix will pump out a bunch of Final Fantasy VII Rebirths now? No, I don't. I think Rebirth and the Final Fantasy VII Saga, it's an all-hands-on-deck situation. All their best creators are collaborating. If they're not directly involved, they are collaborating on this. I'm good on them for it. I'm excited. It means they're working hard. It means they want to deliver the best thing possible. My score for this game, again, take with it what you will, because every other score on the planet came out 14 months ago, and I do apologize to you all greatly for being away for so long and not being able to get to it like I wanted to. But I'm giving it a 9.2. 9.2 out of 10. It's 10s across the board. Story, unfinished, I gave it an 8. Gameplay is an 8 because of some of the wonky exploration stuff in Gongaga and right out of Costa del Sol. But yeah, the game's great. It's. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the game of this generation right now. Right now. Wink wink, y'all know what I mean. I'm still finishing one that could be giving it a run for its money. There are other great games. This is on another level from all that stuff. It just is. I mean, for all the reasons I just spent over an hour exploring with you. So, that's my review. That is my 1 hour plus review of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It really is kind of a moment in time as far as like gaming goes. Especially for like RPGs. I think this game is going to influence a lot of people just like Final Fantasy VII influenced a lot of people back in the day. It's just fun. It's great. It's amazing. It draws you in. It makes you feel things. At the end of the day, it's just fun. If you can grab one of those superlatives or adjectives I just listed, and you made that game, you can go to bed proud that you made that game. It's got all that. It's got all that.